per the new syllabus provided by the Tamil Nadu State Council for Higher Education for students of Arts and Science, this will be your syllabus for Unit 1 of Communicative English. You have 4 sections. The first will deal with listening and speaking skills, in which you will learn to introduce yourself and others, learn to listen for specific information, and learn pronunciation without the use of phonetic symbols. In it, you will cover the essentials of pronunciation along with the American and British pronunciation of same words. Followed by this, you will be learning reading and writing skills. In this, you will learn to read short articles such as the newspaper reports or fact-based articles. The techniques that you will learn are skimming and scanning. You will also learn about diction and tone. You will also learn on how to identify the topic sentences. You will also learn about reading aloud by using an article or a report. And for the writing, you will learn to write a journal. For studying skills, you will be learning how to use dictionaries, encyclopedias, and thesaurus. And for the grammar part, you will be learning nouns, pronouns, and adjectives. In this session, we'll be covering the listening and speaking skills. The first of it being introducing yourself and others. A good introduction will help new acquaintances learn the essential details about who you are. When you don't have someone else to provide an introduction, you must offer an informative self-introduction that's engaging and memorable. The right introduction can solidify your name and purpose for the person you're speaking to, so you can make a positive impression. This session will help you learn how to create a powerful self-introduction that includes all the essential information you need to convey. Whether you plan to deliver your self-introduction verbally or in writing, it's helpful to draft a sample of what you want to say in advance. Preparing and practicing a verbal introduction will solidify the key points in your mind so you don't forget any important details. Crafting a written self-introduction will give you a template that you can turn to quickly when you need to send any kind of an information about yourself as an introduction for any opportunity that you found. A self-introduction should include your name and occupation or your desired occupation, or if you are a student then that, and key facts that will help you make an impression on the person you're speaking to. In a few sentences, you are supposed to cover the most important things that others need to know about you. So here I have a few tips for you from the famous site Indeed on how to write an introduction about yourself. We'll be moving or to say diving into the syllabus after this. So these are the steps that will help you write an effective self-introduction. First, summarizing your professional standing. The first sentence of your self-introduction should include your name and job title or your experience. If you're unemployed and seeking a job, which you might be as a fresher, you might mention your educational degree, certification level, or current place in your job search. For example, my name is Kirti and I am a recent computer science graduate from VET Institute of Arts and Science. Or, my name is Hari and I am the chief engineer for McKinsey. The next one, elaborate on your experiences and achievements. Customize this part of the introduction to highlight the details most relevant to the person you're speaking to. If you are in a job interview, discuss your professional skills and accomplishments. If you're giving a presentation, offer information that supports your authority in the area you're speaking on. When you're speaking about yourself as an introduction to a potential client, mention your products and services. The third, conclude with a lead in to the next part of the conversation. Keep your introduction short and conclude it by leading into what you'd like to happen next. For a presentation, you would summarize what you plan to discuss. In an interview, mention why you're the best person for the job. A self-introduction to a new client or colleague should end with a call to action. This could be a meeting, sale, or further correspondence. So here are what you have to include in your introduction as per your syllabus. First, your name. For example, my name is Amit, but there's something that most people do by starting with myself, Kavita. I am basically from this city, and that's completely wrong. Please try to avoid by starting your introduction with the word myself. Always start with hi, I am Amit. Hi, my name is Amit, and so. Next, you may proceed with the name of the school that you studied at. You might say, I have completed my schooling at MMT Vellore. I completed my studies in the prestigious Vivekananda Vidyalaya in Coimbatore. I studied in the same school in which a former president, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, studied at. You may then mention the place that you live in or come from. I'm from Vellore and I currently live in T Nagar. I come from the Mango district, Salem. I am a native of Madurai. These are a few examples of how you can introduce the place from where you come from. You can also say a little about your hobbies, such as, I'm deeply interested in football. I was a part of my school team. I take a special interest in philately, and I have 2000 stamps of 175 countries. And you may also say a few details about your family. We are 6 at home, including me. I have 2 siblings. I have a sister who is older to me. There are many types of self-introductions you may deliver at various points throughout your career. So here I have few examples of a self-introduction which might be suited to some of the most common situations you may encounter. You may listen to me carefully now. Self-introduction for a job interview. Hi, my name is Kriti. I am a recent elementary education graduate from Bharatiyar University. I've been working at a camp for elementary children this summer and I'm excited to find my first teaching position for the coming school year. I have several original lesson plans I created during my teaching internship that I look forward to implementing in my own classroom. I attended Brookwood Elementary myself and believe I would be a great fit for your second grade opening. It would be a joy for me to teach students in the same place that sparked my love of learning. Here is a self-introduction sample for a presentation that you have to do. Good afternoon. My name is Krishna and I am the Vice President of Administration and Finance in this company. I've always been passionate about finding smart ways to save money. I believe establishing money management strategies as early as possible to be the key for securing one's future. I began using these strategies myself as I was working through college, and now I have over 10 lakhs in rupees in my retirement fund. That amount is growing every day, and I am here to teach you how to set up an account like that too. Here is a sample introduction for networking. Hi, my name is Priya and I'm the marketing director of this firm. We are developing some innovative marketing campaigns designed to engage new customers right in the streets of Bloomington. I've been recruiting local businesses that want to get involved in these activities. I love chatting with residents around the area and learning more about what they're looking for from their smart devices. And here is a self-introduction write-up sample. My name is Ruby. I'm the product development manager of this company. I've created over a dozen apps designed to streamline sales and marketing activities for busy professionals. I see myself as a relentless problem solver and I'm always looking for a new challenge. I've recently got interested in recreational boating and noticed that the sales professionals at the other firm don't seem to have a streamlined system for tracking their sale. I'd love to discuss your needs in this area and find out if you are interested in participating in a beta testing for a new sales app that I'm developing. So these are a few examples of sample introductions that I've read for you from the site Indeed. So now from me you heard how to write a sample introduction about yourself based on the situation that you are in. So now I'd like you to speak about yourself for about a minute or two. That is to give a self-introduction. You may want to write it down just to get the sequence right, and it will give you a lot of confidence before you start speaking. So now for you to prepare your self-introduction, I'm going to give you a 3-minute timer, after which I'll be calling out names at random and this person will be introducing themselves to the class using as innovative methods and creativity that they can. And your time's up. I now have a video that I downloaded from YouTube to play for you that shows how an introduction can be done.
I am Vivek. I am 20 years old. I am a student. I am basically from Madhya Pradesh but currently residing at Rajiv Nagar in Chandigarh. I have completed my senior secondary education from a government school in Chandigarh. And right now, I am pursuing BA from Lakshya University in Delhi. Besides, I have a diploma in basic computers. I have parents and 2 siblings. My father's name is Mr. Rajkumar. He is a mechanical engineer. My mother's name is Mrs. Simran. She is a housewife. Both of my siblings are elder to me and have got married. I like reading spiritual books that provide the truth about God and creation. I also like spending time with my family. As far as my skills and strengths are concerned, I am a good writer, reader, speaker, listener, singer, thinker, communicator, and a table tennis player. Also, I am a hardworking individual who would like to do things with perfection. If I would talk about my nature, then I would say that I am an honest and straightforward man who would not compromise with any dishonesty in life or in work. I am also polite and introvert person, which is why I have just few friends but good ones. I live a simple life, keeping God as my priority in all aspects of my life, because I believe that without God the life is empty, meaningless, worthless, ruthless and hopeless. Therefore, it is must to know God and keep a healthy relationship with Him in order to live a blessed, peaceful and a joyful life. That's all about my introduction.
Now in this section, that is the second part, you will be looking into few questions. So the questions that are displayed and read out for you in this part have been answered in the part 1 of this video for you. So these are the questions, or these are the tips, that hints that you have to keep in your mind when you introduce yourself, or when you introduce someone else too, for that matter.
May I know your name? How old are you? What do you do? Where are you from basically? Where do you reside currently? What is your educational qualification? Which class do you study in? Where do you study? Who all are there in your family? What is your father? What is your mother? Where does your father work? What are your hobbies? Would you mention your skills and strengths? How do you describe your nature? How do you view life?
So now let's move on to know how to introduce yourself. Remember that you need to wish people first when you start your introduction. So there are 2 ways you can go about with this. One is a simple direct method, which is the common one, where you start with your name and then continue to speak about yourself. And the next one is the attention grabbing one, where you try to use some innovative method and do not start right away with your name and your biodata. You must remember that you can't speak the same things in the same manner with everyone. Though you can, that's not going to create an impact, especially when it's your introduction. So depending on the people and the purpose of why you're meeting them, you have to broadly classify the instances as formal, casual, and informal. So when you're with your family and friends, an informal approach is acceptable. However, when you are with a group that has met to accomplish a task like a teacher and thought relationship, a service provider and customer relationship, an employer and an employee relationship, then it should be a formal one. And you can use a casual tone when you're among peers and people from the same rank and when you have a long-standing relationship with them. So depending on whom you are meeting and why you're meeting them, you need to be selective about the way that you introduce yourself. So there is a thumb rule that you have to keep in mind, that the more the formal the situation is, then the less the personal details that you should include in your introduction. So don't talk about your family when you're speaking about yourself at a conference, meeting, or a job interview. And don't talk about your hobbies or special interests in an interview unless you're asked to do so. And don't talk about your ambitions when you meet people at a party, meeting, or official get togethers. So now let's learn how to introduce yourself at college. You've now introduced yourself to me and to your friends, but it's also necessary for you to know how to introduce yourself at college, especially when it comes to particular situations. There will be several occasions in college when you will have to introduce yourself. Following are a few instances on the campus when you will have to introduce yourself. For example, when you have to meet a few people for a work, with a language teacher in the staff room, with a fellow student in the canteen, with students or volunteers of your club, with the chief librarian or the warden, at the competition registration desk with a guest, so many opportunities. So, in all likelihood, the principal or your HOD may not even know you unless you introduce yourself to them. So, it's always better to make a brief introduction before you request for something for them to do for you. So when it's with the HOD of your department or with any department, this is just an example on how you can start. Good afternoon, sir. I am Priya from first year BSc Physics and I wish to. And you can continue with what your request is. For example, if it's your principal that you have to meet, you can say, "Good evening, sir. I'm Rakesh from the Department of English. I'm in the first year of my UG BA course. I'm applying for a scholarship and I request you to kindly attest the application form. Here's a task for you. You have to choose an instance from the list below and make notes of what you'll be speaking based on the instance that you have chosen. It can be on how you introduce yourself when you're at a competition registration desk, with a guest at college, with a language teacher in the staff room, at bank manager's place, at the hotel reception, and at a ticket booking counter. You shall record your voice of you introducing yourself and placing your request and creating the self-introduction part, and you shall submit that in Google Classroom by renaming the file with your full name by 5 p.m. today. This recording shall be a minimum of 2 minutes long. And all of you shall also do this task. Many a times you will have to send an email, a text message from your mobile phone to a person whom you are meeting or contacting for the first time. This can be over the mobile phone or even as a mail from your computer. You will have to speak about yourself or introduce yourself on several platforms which are verbal. I now want all of you to draft a bio note about yourself to publish on your blog if you have one, and for this case you have one, in about 120 words. So you shall all take your pen and write down a brief bio note about yourself and submit a copy, a scanned copy of this in Google Classroom by 5 p.m. today. All the names will be marked and this list will be carried forth to the next class also. The next part of a class is about introducing others. While introducing a friend or a classmate, you need to include the person's full name and avoid their nicknames or short names that you address them with. State some nice things about the person but never speak about their personal likes and dislikes if they won't find it comfortable. Again, depending on the context, include relevant information. For example, if you're introducing a classmate or a friend, you can say, "Good morning, meet my friend or classmate Krishna. He is an AS football player and he's a part of the college team." When you need to introduce a guest at a formal gathering, you may go like this. "Good morning. It gives me immense pleasure to introduce Ms. Valli Damodaran, the Chief Executive Officer of Star Alliance, a prestigious business amalgamation. She has been with Star Alliance for the past 15 years and has held several responsibilities," and you may continue like that. When you need to introduce a resource person, this is how you might go with. "Good afternoon, I'm pleased to introduce Professor Ganesh, Head of the Department of Indian Theatre, University of Texas," and continue. And here I have a video for you from YouTube that I've downloaded that gives an example of how a guest can be introduced.
Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to everybody once again. It is my privilege to introduce our chief guest of this evening. He is a Guinness Book record holder, not once but twice. And in two successive years, 2002 and 2003. Behind these records, ladies and gentlemen and children, lies a passion. A passion that started at the age of 10 for him, and he continued right through. He held the largest collection of model cars. As children, many of you kids would have been collecting cars. Me too. But at some stage, I chased other passions. But in his case, he kept collecting and eventually went on to become a world-renowned collector. He collects not just cars, he collects various other objects, just to name a few. Cartier pens. He collects first-day cover stamps. He has got 24-karat gold-plated notes in his collection. And he has got the largest Princess Diana doll collection. So it's not just limited to the macho items of boys. And what is even more important is, his company in Taiwan developed a robot that does the job of a camel jockey. This is a great contribution to mankind and to the country. Please give a big round of applause. He had engineers working full-time to develop this robot jockey, in Taiwan at that. He is the first ever Emirati after the royal family to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. He's held exhibitions. One house does not fill all of his collections. He's got multiple houses, Jumeirah, Dera, Birdbai, name it, to house all his collections. A true passionate collector. And it is this passion that we hope you children will imbibe from him this evening. Please help me welcome Mr. His Excellency Suhail Muhammad Al-Zaruni.
People who feel good about themselves do great work and create great things. One such person is with us. I request my colleague Ms. Sharmila to introduce our guest of honor, Mr. N. Jayadeva.
Good evening to one and all present here. It's my privilege to introduce the guest of honor for the day, Mr. N. Jayadeva, for the annual day celebration 2012 of City College, Jayanagar. He is a native of Kollegal and has many qualifications to his credit. He has graduated from National College, Bangalore, done his Bachelor of Law from BMS Law College and PGDIM from Datamatics. He appeared for KAS exam in 1976 and was selected as Tahsildar in his very first attempt. During his probationary period from 1979 to 1981, he worked as Tahsildar in different places and as a block development officer in Koratgere. In 1991, he was promoted to junior scale and has worked at various levels as administrative officer, deputy director of food and civil supplies, and assistant commissioner in Puttur and Davangere. In 2002, he was promoted to senior scale and he worked as project director, private secretary to the Honorable Minister of Home and Minor Irrigation in 2002, Honorable Minister of Irrigation and Transport in 2004, and Deputy Secretary to Government and State Protocol Officer in 2006. In 2008, he was again promoted. He worked as General Manager in Karnataka Biotechnology and Information Technology Society and as Additional Director, Karnataka Drug Logistics and Warehousing Society. Presently, he is working as Secretary for Karnataka Information Commission. It's our privilege to have you as our guest of honor, sir, even at the midst of your busy schedule. We thank you for this.
You've now watched 2 recordings from YouTube on how a guest or someone has to be introduced to others. I now want you all to imagine that a guest or a resource person is visiting your class and that it is your duty to introduce them. So you have to write down a formal introductory note on a famous personality who is visiting your college for an event. And this introduction that you are going to write will go on the brochure with the schedule of the events, that is, it's going to get published. So you have to write down this introduction in about 300 words and submit a scanned copy of this in Google Classroom by 5 p.m. today. As said earlier, the record of those who submit and don't will be maintained and carried forth for the next classes. And with this, we come to the end of the first part of listening and speaking, which is introducing self and others.